Nigel Farage, welcome to GB News, your former home, having a pint with Farage.
Absolutely.
1 month ago today, you returned to UK political frontline as the leader of Reform UK. Has it been worth it?
Yes, it has. I think we were heading for a very, very boring general election campaign. I mean, basically, Rishi Sunak says, I know we're no good, but they're worse. And Keir Starmer says, vote for change, without telling us what that change would be. And to be frank, they're not exactly the most inspiring individuals either. So I think me coming into it has actually broadened the debate.
Perhaps they're serious people for serious jobs, like Prime Minister.
Well, if he's serious, tell us what he's going to do. Because all you've seen from Labour is play safe, play safe, play safe. What I did notice, though, was on the 6 priorities that he laid out, immigration, both legal and illegal, wasn't even mentioned. So we've had a lack of debate. I mean, have we debated defence properly? No. Have we debated foreign policy?
Well, the Tories have against Labour because they, of course, there's no commitment.
Marginally, very, very marginally. I mean, yes, they say, look, we're committed to 2.5. You're kind of
get there if you can,
havering on it. Foreign policy has it even been discussed in the election campaign? So I've tried to inject some fresh arguments.
Got you in trouble though on Russia. We'll come to that in a minute.
Well,
Chris, come to that in a minute.
I mean, let's be honest about it. I mean, I said that 10 years ago.
I know.
Now, Boris said it 9 years ago, but now pretends he didn't. I said it 10 years ago. I'm not like him. I'm honest. I'm straight. I don't pretend, no, it didn't really happen.
But it allows your critics to get their claws into you and call you a Putin apologist.
Which, of course, is a load of rubbish. But look, I am always straightforward. Yeah. If I really thought what I'd said 10 years ago was totally wrong, I'd say so. But, of course, this is one of the problems. I mean, politics can be a very rough game. So what I said in my warnings 10 years ago is turned into you support Putin. No, I think you support...
You explaining the EU provoked Putin by its expansion eastwards.
Yes.
That led to a reaction from Putin, was your point.
It gave him a casus belli.
Without defending what he did.
With his own... I never defended what he did. Far from it. But that's life.
OK, fine. Your critics say this has been a gigantic Farage ego trip. Is that right?
Well, that's because no one knows who they are. They're just jealous.
Jealous.
If you have a look...
Yeah.
I mean, we'll come to Ofcom in a moment, I know, but...
You don't have to.
Well, we're jolly well going to, I can assure you. If you look at the social media side of this campaign, whether it's on X, formerly Twitter, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on TikTok, you'll find Reform UK and me just ahead by multiples of the other parties, despite the fact the Labour Party have been chucking £500,000 a week at it, and the Tories' money as well. We are winning the social media war.
They're not voters, are they? You know jolly well Twitter is not the electorate.
When you go across Twitter, TikTok and Facebook, yes, they are. Actually.
We'll see.
We'll see. They are. And the problem we've had is getting some of the messages out through GB News, ITV, and I can't even talk about the BBC.
Well, we do. We cover all the views of the main parties.
You have given us a tiny amount of coverage as a channel because Ofcom have laid down the rules that the key determining factor in how much you can cover are the last 2 general elections. I've never seen this ruling before this year, and I feel that all of you,
as a group of broadcasters, are being really hemmed in by Ofcom into not being able to cover what's really going on. So much out there beyond just a narrow linear broadcasting. I'm not sure this is where we need to be in this. This is your sell to our viewers. Wow. When we last met in South Wales and you unveiled this contract with Britain, I called it then a Tory manifesto on steroids. You had all the halving the foreign aid budget, this cutting £5 every £100 spent on government spending, 1 in, 1 out legal migration, exit the ECHR.
How's that Tory? They've done the opposite. They've done the opposite on everything.
You've got all the key Tory things. And
No. I'm really sorry. The Tories have increased legal migration to numbers unimaginable. Boris Johnson introduced net zero policies that would have closed down 1/3 of our farmland in our country, raising the foreign aid budget.
My point is...
Raising the foreign aid budget was David Cameron's greatest achievement.
This document is aimed at appealing mainly to the Tory grassroots. Now, here's some numbers for you. You're on 20% in the polls. Tories on 16%, according to the GB News People's Poll out at midday today. Labour's on 36%. Now, I'm no good at maths, but I think if you add 16 and 20, you get 36. So what you're doing is killing the Tory party by removing their support.
No.
If you withdraw all of your candidates now,
there could be a hung parliament, and you might get some of this through.
Number one, they destroyed themselves. If I'd gone to the Bahamas and fished for a month, they still would have lost this election very, very heavily. You'll find many of our supporters, if we weren't here, wouldn't bother to vote for anybody at all. A lot of our voters have never voted before in their lives, so the impact actually on the Conservatives is nowhere near as big as
you think. It's not. If you remove yourself, much less support goes to the Tory party. You don't think that's the case?
No, I would say maybe 25%. Maybe 25% of our support will go to the Conservatives, 10 or 15 to Labour, the rest will stay at home and simply not bother. They've destroyed themselves, and you know why? This is now the 5th manifesto in a row in which they're promising to cut taxes and reduce immigration. They're liars. They lie to the electorate. They get away with it.
You see,
they get away with
events have happened. There's been an invasion of Ukraine that spiked energy. COVID happened. These things cost money to support the UK economy.
Hang on. They didn't need to lock us down.
You're not being fair to... You're being glib about it.
Why did they lock us down second and third time? Why was that done? We already could see what was happening in Sweden. We could see what was happening in Florida. There were sensible alternatives.
There was a debate, a balance to be struck.
There was no debate.
And we'll see how that ends up.
There was no debate. You know, they and the Labour Party made the collective decisions on all of these
My
things.
point is, you're offering glib solutions to complex areas to win easy, cheap votes.
Don't glib about it. This is actually a vision.
£5 off spending every £100.
Raising the level at which people start paying tax. There was a house
to £20,000 a year.
There was a house just up the road from where we are now. The first house I knocked on yesterday. She said, I'm desperate to get back to work, but I can't. Why? She's on benefits. If she goes back to work and works more than 16 hours, she loses all her benefits. So we say no one starts paying tax to £20,000 a year. These are the sort of positive things we're proposing. And when you ask Reform voters, is it a protest vote? They say no, not at all. We really believe in these positive ideas.
Makes quite interesting polling this week from JL Partners showing you surging amongst 16 and 17-year-olds. So you want to give them the vote, do you?
No,
you don't. But they're your new army of supporters.
I'm not a cynical politician.
Really?
I know. I'm
this
not.
Is quite cynical.
No, it's not cynical. That's absolute rot. It's visionary. You're right. If the voting age was reduced to 16, I could potentially clean up. I am like the slightly naughty uncle, I think, to this generation, and they're coming to me in droves. They really, really are. And do you know why? They actually want to get on, do well in life. And they can see that, you know, even getting a house, even renting anywhere, is now really, really hard for that generation.
It's not because you're famous and been on the telly and ITV TV shows.
No, it's because I'm infamous. That's what they like.
What would Churchill or Thatcher make of UK in the 2020s?
Well, I think Margaret Thatcher would be profoundly depressed to think that the size of a state had mushroomed, that the tax burden was the highest since 1948. During her period...
I understand that.
During her period, net migration was down to 0 at times. 0, which is what we propose going back to, which means people can come, people can go, but the net number doesn't increase the population. Churchill, well, look, 80 years ago is too long.
Just on your candidates, I mean, lots of reporting elsewhere on your candidates. Why do other parties not also attract racist, misogynistic and bigoted candidates?
Oh, they do.
Georgie Davis said that about your candidates.
Oh, yes, they do.
She went over to
Hang on, the Labour Party has been racked with anti-Semitism for years. They even kicked out the man that led them.
They are suspending candidates.
Well, so are we. So what's the difference?
And is there a bigger problem with them or you?
Jeremy Corbyn led them in 2 elections. The Greens have had bigger problems with candidates than we've had. Not that you'd see that reported in the same way.
So you blame the reporting?
I'll be honest with you. I didn't quite know what I was inheriting a month ago. I've been honorary president. I've had nothing to do with the running of this for 3 years, and that's the truth. And you've never believed me, but that is the truth.
Well, you own the party.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't operate like that.
Okay.
And I've been a bit shocked at just how relatively amateur and start-up the whole thing was. It's not a criticism, but, Richard Tice kept it going. I mean, he put £1 million of his own money.
Yeah. Loans,
yeah, but into keeping it going. Yeah. And yeah, it was a bit of a shambles. So have we got some bad apples? Yes. Is it reflective of the broader party? No. We've got, and on this ludicrous racism charge, well, you can see Zia Yusuf is our biggest donor so far in the campaign. We've got plenty of candidates from all sorts of different backgrounds. the Channel 4 thing.
Yeah. Now, the Essex police have said today there's no criminal issue there. They're looking away. There's no investigation.
Well, the Essex police can say that, but Ofcom need to do their job. Let's get to the bottom of what really happened here. That man, who was a posh actor, turned up as an Alf Garnett impersonator, did what he did.
He denies that. He denies that, Nigel Farage.
Well, hang on. He speaks with a posh voice.
So do you. Anyone can talk with a posh voice.
Yeah, but he turned up that morning. It was Call Blimey Governor, and it was Alf Garnett.
Okay.
The whole thing was an act from day one.
When you said that Rishi Sunak was not patriotic for coming home early from D-Day celebrations, you were criticised as being an attack on his Indian heritage. Was that what you were doing?
No, his class.
It was a class issue.
And it isn't just Winchester and Oxford and Goldman Sachs.
He grew up in a pharmacy. I mean, what class is that?
Do you think he could walk in this pub and drink with the locals?
I think he could, actually, yeah.
Oh, don't talk rot. I mean,
Why couldn't he?
Do you remember when he was doing the charity stuff at Christmas? He was dishing out the food to the homeless, and some chap was talking to him. He said, "Oh, are you looking for a career in financial services?" I mean, come on. I mean, the guy he should have known
what to say.
That the grand reunion of the surviving American, British, and Canadian veterans.
That was the afternoon.
That was the big ceremony. There were several small British ceremonies, relatively small British ceremonies. This was the big one, where the three countries that took part in D-Day came together, and he didn't think it was...
So not patriotic is about is an attack on his class, nothing else.
It's an attack on his detachment.
Detachment from it. This row about candidates, I've been covering you as a journalist for 15 years probably. You've always worried about... I mean, it's what you drove away from UKIP in 2015 was being blamed.
Yeah, I got rid of it.
You got really angry, didn't you, about being blamed for them, for candidates?
I got rid of it from UKIP. When I launched the Brexit Party, we had no such accusation at any stage at all. We walked into the European Parliament with 29 MEPs who were the most diverse group that had ever been in the European Parliament. And by the way, not chosen because they were X, Y, or Z, chosen on ability. So if I'd known what I was inheriting a month ago, well, you'd have... I still have done it, but I clearly.
Would you not have done it if you'd known? Because it annoys you so much. And
it annoys me greatly. But I can see what happened. They literally put out a Charlie article. Anyone that wants to stand, please come and stand. And one of the ironies of this, Chris, is having smashed the BNP out of existence, some of these really fringy, unpleasant types have got nowhere else to go. I will, starting on Friday, professionalise Reform UK, democratise Reform UK, build a branch structure around the country. And do you know what really matters? Yes, I want us to be the voice of opposition in the House of Commons. The Conservatives can't be. Sunak won't be there. They're divided. I want to be the voice of opposition to Starmer in the Commons, but more importantly, in the country. And the ambition, we establish this bridgehead tomorrow and then build a mass movement for real change.
We'll come to that in a second. What do you think of this criticism of Keir Starmer not working Friday evenings with his family? Do you understand that as a family man? Is it overblown?
It's a clever trick. He's played a clever trick on the Tories by saying on Fridays. They say, oh, goodness me.
What's the trick?
The trick is his wife's Jewish, and of course Friday evenings to the Jewish community are a vital time. He's lured them
into being critical of him.
Into being critical of him.
It's a faith issue.
And then the Guardian came back and said it's anti-Semitic to say what he said.
Was he anti-Semitic? Rishi Sunak?
No, he was playing a game with them. I mean, look, Keir Starmer is not an entrepreneur. You've basically got two men who are competing to be who's the next middle manager of Britain. That's what we're really talking about. There's no drive, there's no passion, there's no real leadership. And frankly, with Labour, we'll get more of the same, just a little bit worse. And what we're saying is, let's take a radical step forwards.
If you weren't here in the pub now, you'd be probably in America, helping out Donald Trump's campaign, doing the spin operation. Has he offered you any advice on his campaign?
No.
Have you asked for any?
No.
When did you last talk to him?
I can't remember.
No. If elected, will your special relationship with him be more important than the one with the Prime Minister?
Well, I think Britain's relationship with America is crucial, and I am really pleased, I mean this, for all Labour's faults and for all Labour's lack of talent, the fact that David Lammy, who is about to become our Foreign Secretary, we believe...
Is that a good thing of his new Foreign Secretary, by the way? He has been critical of Trump in the past.
That is not my call. This is going to be Starmer's call. But if it is Lammy, the fact that he is now reaching out to the Trump team...
Because he has to
have conversations. And they asked me about it. The Trump team asked me about it, and I said, yes, do talk to David Lammy. even if your politics are different, our relationship with America in a world that's closer to global conflagration than it's been for over 60 years is crucial.
So I said earlier, I've been with you on your electoral journey over the past 10 years plus. I was with you in your triumphs in 2014, 2019 in the EU elections, and when you didn't work out for you in 2015, when you resigned. And
when the agent went to prison for the Conservative Party.
Let's move on, 2015, 2019. Is this it if you're not elected to Parliament this time? Or will you carry through your 5-year plan?
No. We're going to build a mass movement.
You will stay in politics.
We are going to build a mass movement around the country, and regardless.
And you'll stay on as leader of the Reform UK Party?
I will until somebody younger and better looking comes along.
And when is that? So you'll see through to the next election in 2029?
Unless somebody younger and better comes along. And when they do, I'll recognise it. I'm not quite the egomaniac people think.
Do you want to mount a takeover of the Tory party?
There is no Conservative Party.
There is a party, it's called the Tory party.
Yeah, it's a broad church with no religion. Doesn't believe in anything. I will tell you this. All the campaigns I've fought, all the ups and downs I've fought over the years, I have never seen the level of enthusiasm we are now garnering from Reform UK. How many of them we'll find out after 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Some see you as a saviour of the Tory party, or was that Boris Johnson? You saw him come back?
I saved them in 2019. I saved them by getting rid of Theresa May.
And got no thanks for it.
I then stood aside with Boris Johnson and watched them betray everything they were.
But isn't he look at the response last night in that rally that the Tories held?
No. 125 employees mostly in a room. Compare that to 5,000 we had in Birmingham at the weekend. I've never seen enthusiasm like this. There is an appetite for real change, a feeling that Westminster is out of touch, and we are reflective of that. Tomorrow is just the first major step of a new political...
I've been looking back at some of the stuff we've written about you in the past. 2015, 1 MP, 3.9 million votes. We're going to repeat ourselves, aren't we, again? A few MPs and millions of votes, and then you'll be...
Okay, first things first, we will get much, much more than 4 million votes.
How many MPs will you get?
Many, I've no idea.
How many votes?
I'm hoping it'll be well above 5 million, and I think 6 million is very possible. Very, very possible.
That's 1 in 5 of the electorate.
That's what I believe will happen, yes. Will the seats we win be proportional? Probably not. And then Labour might get 37% of the vote and have the biggest parliamentary majority in history. And by this time next week...
Helped by you.
By this time... No.
Helped by you, going back to the beginning.
No, the Tories have done themselves in. By this time next week, the campaign for electoral reform will be in full cry.
Okay.
I know, because I'm going to be part of it.
Just finally, how are you doing? How's the impact on you and your children? This is something you never thought you'd do.
Well, luckily...
Until a month ago.
Luckily, the children are all grown up. Well, I had my first grandson last week, which is rather exciting.
Made you cry, apparently.
Well, I don't know about that, but nearly. Do you know something? You know me well enough to know that I work hard, I play hard. I've literally been living on about 4 to 4.5 hours sleep a night for a month. And I'm quite looking forward
having a rest.
Just to have a little bit of downtime.
Nigel Farage, thank you for joining us in our final leaders interview of this campaign on GB News.